Here now is our next street story. It's about TYNESIA, who lived her entire life in Brooklyn. TYNESIA lived in Bedford-Stuyvesant, in what is known as one of the roughest housing projects in Brooklyn. She had lived there for all of her 28 years of life, on the 6th floor. She did not have any children, and she never would. She had suffered through 7 abortions and 3 miscarriages, and at this point, her womb was a wreck. She didn't care anymore, though. She was actually glad that none of those no-good niggas were the father of her children. They were all ignorant, uneducated, and abusive. She did not need these men or kids. She had a dog. Shadow was a black mutt with white spots under his neck, and he was the love of her life. Whenever TYNESIA would have extra money, she would bring home treats and toys for Shadow. She was the happiest when she turned the key in her door and would hear him panting, patiently waiting for her to enter the door so he could jump on her and play. She loved walking him, but he was a big dog and she sometimes did not have the time or energy to walk him 3 or 4 times a day and bend down each time to pick up and bag his poop logs. Her new boyfriend, Slim, did not like Shadow, and Shadow did not like him either. When Slim would raise his voice and get loud and aggressive with TYNESIA, which he often did, Shadow would be up barking at Slim, and a few times actually snapped at him. Slim was a big guy and would kick him or slap him away when TYNESIA was not looking. He kept saying, "One day, I'm gonna kill this mutt." TYNESIA thought, "Over my dead body, I will kill you first." She had a part-time job at a nearby restaurant that the welfare office had assigned her to. She hated these kinds of jobs, but had no choice. She was hoping for a job at the pet shop on Flatbush, and she thought that she might get it, but she was used to so much disappointment in her life, she just took it in stride when they didn't call. The man that interviewed her made her think that she would get the job when he saw how much she loved the animals, but hey, whatever. After daydreaming her hours away, she was ready to go home to Shadow. He would be waiting by the door as usual with his raggedy stuffed toy, jumping up and down and happy to see her. Sometimes he got so excited that he would pee when she came home. As funny as it sounds, it was the best welcome she ever got from anyone. She was never treated like anyone special, but this 4-legged bundle of joy gave her more comfort than anyone else in her life. She was expecting Slim to stop by later. She had promised herself to never give her keys to another man, but he had keys to her apartment because occasionally she needed him to walk Shadow. Slim did not have a job and hung out all day long anyway, so he had the time. TYNESIA got to the door and began to jiggle her keys and listen for Shadow. She did not hear him. She quickly opened the door, but Shadow did not come running. She called out his name a few times, looked all over the apartment, but no Shadow. She called Slim, and when she told him that Shadow was missing, he said he'd be right over. She checked all the windows and went down to ask around if anyone had seen Shadow. Slim was the only other person with a key, and he insisted that he did not take Shadow out. After asking around, the super told her that he had seen Slim walking Shadow earlier that day. She was puzzled why Slim would lie about taking Shadow out, and now felt that something bad had surely happened. She called Slim several times, but he did not pick up the phone. Finally, Slim came over to the apartment, and again he swore that he did not see Shadow that day. She knew he was lying, and she became more distressed. Eventually, after an hour of crying and pleading, Slim admitted to taking Shadow out. He told TYNESIA that Shadow pulled away from him to chase another dog and he ran off. He was unable to catch him. Well, at least, Shadow was lost and not dead, TYNESIA thought. She would make flyers and pass them around, scout the projects, and hopefully someone would find Shadow. Slim said he would help her look in the morning. TYNESIA cried all night long. Next morning, she was up early ready to scout the neighborhood for her dog. Slim was out the door, saying that he was sorry, but he forgot that he had something else to do and could not help her that day. That bastard, she thought. Tanisha spent the day handing out flyers and showing Shadow's picture and asking just about everyone on the streets if they say Shadow. After hours and hours of canvassing the streets for her shadow, she gave up and went home. As she lay on her bed crying and thinking about her poor dog, she finally fell asleep. She was awakened by the phone, and the woman on the other end said that she should come quickly. A dog that was on the flyer that looked just like Shadow got hit by a car a few blocks away. Tanisha raced over, and for sure it was Shadow, all bloodied and broken. The driver offered to take the dog to the animal hospital, but Shadow was already dying. She took him home, laid him with him all night, until he gave her the saddest look that she ever saw. And then he died. About 2 weeks passed, and Slim kept calling, begging for forgiveness. Tanisha finally gave in and told him to come by for dinner. When he got to the door, a tiny little head popped out, and the most adorable face appeared. Slim bought her a black and white puppy. Tanisha was elated, and her face lit up once again. Slim was relieved that at least she would forgive him, and perhaps forget. After playing with the puppy a while, they sat down and ate. Later, they went to bed, and Slim fell asleep, and the pup lay under Tanisha's arm sleeping. Tanisha thought how much Slim enjoyed his dinner. He commended her on how tender and tasty the meat was. She did not eat. She told Slim that she had no appetite. Tanisha smiled. Lucky for him, she did not add her final ingredient to the meal. She had bought some arsenic to season his meal, but since he replaced Shadow, he would only suffer part of his punishment. She had tenderly carved Shadow's body, separating the meat and bagging his bones. Then she buried his body. She saved his meat for Slim's dinner. She marinated it and put it in the freezer and saved it just for tonight. She really hoped that Shadow slept well in Slim's stomach tonight. Pleasant dreams, my darling Shadow.
Welcome to Street Stories NYC.
Get the raw full 45 set collection. Available now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and of course, StreetStoriesNYC.com.